Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shannon Show. I'm kind of surprised I'm doing this tag. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I've given it a shot. I've given Galaxy Edge at Disneyland a shot. So it is what it is. I'm giving this tag a shot. I may do it again, I may not do it again. If you want me to do it again, if you want me to give Star Wars another chance, let me know down below in the comments. If you want me to do this tag again next year, let me know down below in the comments. I have a tall pile of books here. I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 books. 11 books for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 prompts. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 prompts. 11 physical books, or no, 9 physical books, 2 books, 1 book I don't no longer have, another book I misplaced, and I don't know where it is. So, we're gonna get into this tag, and we're gonna have fun with it, we're gonna roll with it, and just enjoy it. It's another opportunity to talk about books at the end of the day, so that's what we're here for. And the first prompt is R2-D2, delicious and... I was about to give my answer. You can kind of see it right there. Anyway, the prompt, R2-D2, a book that made you laugh out loud. For me, that was Delicious in Dungeon by Ryoko Kui. I got into the anime first. I absolutely love the anime. I was laughing out loud again with the manga. Love it. Laughing out loud. This is such a great time. I am recording this a little bit in advance just to get it out of the way. And because I kind of knew that by the time this month came around, I would have totally forgotten about this and went with another tag. But anyway, when I went to a Barnes & Noble recently, specifically the one in the Grove, and I saw the full series for Delicious in Dungeon, all 14 volumes there, and I was so tempted to get all 14 volumes, but I can't right now, I couldn't. But I have the first 3 volumes, and plus 2 at the moment. I couldn't remember which volumes I had, because I have the World Guide and then volumes 1 through 3. And I knew I had 4 books in relation to it. I just couldn't remember which ones I had. So, yeah. I was so tempted to get the rest of the volumes, but I needed to hold off at the time. So, Delicious in Dungeon made me laugh out loud. I absolutely love it. I do love R2-D2. I really do like R2-D2. Like, R2-D2 and C-3PO are my favorite characters. So, anyway, the next prompt is Anakin Skywalker, a book or series that started well but then became bad. And for me, there's 2, both by the same author. I've talked about it countless times on this channel. It's Serena Valentino's Disney Villain series, and then her Headless Horseman book. Now, the Disney Villain series, I've talked about both of these a lot before, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but essentially at the end of the day, part of it could have been my expectations. I went into it expecting that it would be a series of an interconnected standalone series, a series of interconnected standalones, in the sense of they're all Disney villains, maybe they know each other, interact, or somehow know each other and have been able to interact, but overall they're standalones. And the first book, which was Fairest of All, that ended up pretty good and fell into what I was expecting. But after that, it just kept getting worse for me, worse and worse and worse. I only read the first 3 books, and it was just I respect it if people like them. I don't understand why people like them. Again, I respect it. I don't understand why. And then with the Headless Horseman, her Headless Horseman book, I think it's what's it called? The Serena. Is it just called the Headless Horseman? Raising the Horseman. It's Raising the Horseman. I always have to look it up because then I forget. Here, I'm gonna put that in there. Just putting it in there. Raising the Horseman. I love the Disney Sleepy Hollow. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the animated short. I absolutely love it. Where's my thingy? I have a thingy, which I haven't shown before. Okay. Which one is it? No, that's not King Cole. It's one of these ones. Here it is. It's a little bit beat up. I have a spot for my vinyls and records. I got this from my uncle. It has the story, the story and songs of Walt Disney's Legend of Sleepy Hollow, also the Legend of Rip Van Winkle. Which honestly, it's falling apart sadly, but I absolutely love this. Let me show you. I've been trying to build up my vinyl collection. It's a little bit scratched and beat up, but side one, you can see my Minnie Mouse right there. And then side one is Legend of Sleepy Hollow, narrated by Billy Bletcher. So it's not Bing Crosby, but whatever. And then the Legend of Rip Van Winkle, same narration, same narrator. But honestly, I absolutely love the animated. Like, I love the story, and it's just, part of my expectations for Raising the Horseman by Serena Valentino was how much I love this story. 1 second while I put it back. And this is something I've also talked about a lot on this channel, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, pun intended. But like, part of it was my expectations with how much I loved The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And this story, it's a dual timeline, and in the first one you're following the original cast of Sleepy Hollow, so Katrina Von Tassel, and then Brom Bones, Ichabod Crane, and then you're following maybe 2 centuries later, and you're following some of the descendants, and it's like the stories were way too similar. It just felt beat for beat like the original. Like, if we're talking about the original storyline, the original timeline, the main past historical timeline, where it's like the original cast, I don't mind it being beat for beat like the animated short. But for the 200 years later, the quote-unquote modern for the book timeline, 200 years later, like, that should not have been beat for beat like the original story. And it's just like having the two timelines be exactly the same, except for like different characters, and then like different characters. And it's like, one thing I found kind of stupid, and I don't think Katrina Von Tassel would have done that, is that her female descendants would get her inheritance only if they were named Katrina. And it's like, yeah, she was kind of conniving and planning and figuring out who was the best suitor for her, but she wouldn't have done that. Katrina was like, she was a girl's girl. Like, she wouldn't have done that. So I felt that plot point was a little bit weak. And also you have Isadora Crow, and that was, I mean, I said her name, and I'm not going to say too much more, but I feel like if that's not obvious who she's related to, like, that was so blatantly obvious. Like, once she was in town, like, I did like that it was an LGBTQIA plus relationship between Isadora and Kat Von Tassel, but it was just like, it was so freaking obvious from the get-go who Isadora is related to. And like Crow was her alias, and she went in with the name Crow to make it less obvious, but it was so obvious. It was painfully obvious. So that's all I'm gonna say for that, because honestly, like, I get so frustrated thinking about it, because I wanted to like it, but I just didn't. The next prompt is Padme Amidala, a book with a beautiful cover / gorgeous clothing. For me, it is Under the Oak Tree by C.G. Kim. Can we just talk about like the clothing of the book, the cover? So pretty. I do have the second volume, and that one is just as pretty. I'm just showing the first volume, but just as pretty. The comic graphic novel versions are also just as gorgeous. The spread edges, absolutely beautiful. So absolutely in love with this one, and just absolutely beautiful. In this, you follow Maximilian, who's the daughter of the powerful Duke Corso, and she's rarely let out because she has a stutter and her dad fears that that'll embarrass the family name. She's married off to a knight who climbed the social ladder pretty quickly, and after their wedding night, like the morning after, he leaves, and he doesn't come back for 3 years because he's gone to fight in a war, fight in battle. And 3 years later, he comes back, and she's kind of startled to find out like he still wants her because he was like offered a hand in marriage from a really beautiful princess of another kingdom, and he still wants her. So they're kind of navigating their relationship with things slowly coming out, especially because like Maxie's not used to sharing her mind. Like, I love Maxie, she's such a precious baby, I love her so much, and she deserves all the happiness in the world. This one's just easy to stick back on my shelf, so that's what I'm doing. And then the next prompt is Leia Organa, a kick-butt female character. And for me, this is one where I don't know where the book is. And there's a lot, including some of the characters in this pile, that I could have included. But the first one for me was Astrid Ricard. She was like one of the first ones that came to mind for me from the book The Disappearance of Astrid Ricard by Natasha Lester. I absolutely love Astrid. I love all of Natasha Lester's female characters. They're all strong, kick-butt female characters. Like, chef's kiss, we love them. And it's like, I love Astrid so much. And I'm not going to say too much about this one because it is historical fiction, and you do, with a lot of Natasha Lester's books, I do recommend going in with little to no knowledge of what it's about. So go in with your own discretion. It is such a good book. I love her books so much. And I still need to get the Mademoiselle Alliance. Okay, anyway. The next prompt is Luke Skywalker, a rising star author, a new author you've discovered recently and absolutely love. Now, these ones, I do have two for this one, and they're not like super recent. I've talked about them before. They're not like super recent, but I would say that like it's within the past 2-ish years, and it's a combination of recently discovered and needing to find more by these authors. So that's why I've included both of these. So the first one is the author of Villains Are Destined to Die by Sewell, original story by Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, and I'm so sorry. I most likely butchered that. I have the first 2 volumes, absolutely fell in love with the story, and just the characters, like, it's chef's kiss, perfect. We love these characters. Another character who would fit under a kick-butt female character. We love her so much. The next one that I have for this prompt is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine, and it is the art is by Gurr, and then the original story is by Irenby. Like, again, I need to find more. Like this, I've talked about this. This had me like giggling and wanting to just kick up my feet in excitement. Like, I absolutely love this. Again, I have the first 2 volumes. I need to read more. I need to find more by this author. So we'll get there eventually. The next prompt I also have 2 books for, and it is Han Solo, a book with a lot of sass. There's 2 that came to mind for me. The first one is quite obviously The Wicked Wit of Ireland, and this one is a collection. In this collection you'll find a rich mix of traditional Irish humor alongside distinctly modern one-liners. The likes of Oscar Wilde, Brendan Behan, and J.P. Donlevy sit next to Dylan Moran, Sharon Hogan, and Ed Byrne. Dave Allen and Spike Milligan rub shoulders with Samuel Beckett and George Bernard Shaw. So it's like just a bunch of sass one-liners. Like, this is perfect for this prompt. But I also had another answer one moment. I also had another book for this prompt, and it is Almost There by Farrow Schoen. And honestly, like, this one has so many good one-liners and quick wits and just perfect dynamics between the characters. Like, I have not given that many descriptions for the books, and I'm so sorry about that, but I'm trying to be better about that. But it is what it is for this video right now. But for this book specifically, I would just go with the what if question on the front of the cover and on the back. What if Tiana made a deal that changed everything? Basically, it's the premise of Tiana makes a deal with Dr. Facilier. And that's as much as you need to know for the Almost There books. There was one that I read recently, So This Is Love by Elizabeth Lim. That was like one of the first Disney Twisted Tales books that I've read where it doesn't have some major spoiler in the description. But that's like a rare one-off type situation with these books, because oftentimes it gives too much away in the synopsis. So really only go with the what if questions if you're going for any of the Disney Twisted Tales, especially this one. Only go off of the what if question. And then the next prompt is Darth Vader favorite villain. For me, I'm blanking on his name, but it's the villain in The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre. And again, I'm blanking on his name, but I feel like a lot of the dynamics in this book were just so perfectly built up that it's like, it was hard not to like the villain of the story. Like, you like them because they're a villain. And it was just hard to not like the villain of the story because, again, everything was just written out so perfectly and beautifully that it's just like chef's kiss perfection there. Okay, the next prompt is, before I give you the next prompt, let me actually give you the description for The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre, because I'm trying to be better about giving descriptions. So, Alex St. Pierre, an unforgettable name for an unforgettable woman. She grew up surrounded by Hollywood glamour, but as an orphan, never truly felt a part of that. In 1943, with World War II raging, men headed overseas to fight, she lands a publicity job to recruit women into the workforce. Her skills, persuasion, daring, quick wit under pressure catch the attention of the U.S. government, and she finds herself with an even bigger assignment, being sent to Switzerland as a spy. Soon, Alex is on the precipice of something big, very big. But how far can she trust her German informant? After an Allied victory that didn't come nearly soon enough, Alex moves to Paris, ready to immerse herself in her new position as director of publicity for the yet-to-be-launched House of Dior. In the glamorous halls of the French fashion house, she can nearly forget everything that she lost in the dangerous secret she carries. But when a figure from the war reappears and threatens to destroy her future, Alex realizes that only she can right the wrongs of the past and finally find justice. So, like, again, like I said, like, it is like the perfect confluence of stuff where it's like, the villain in this story, his character is just so perfectly that just like there, like he doesn't have to try too hard to be a villain, because like World War II, you know, he doesn't have to try too hard to be a bad guy. Like, he just is. And like his presence is kind of just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen now, you know? So that's what I loved so much about this book. But now moving on to the next prompt, it's Emperor Palpatine, the best world building. And I have a little bit of gripe with the series because I love it, but it was just, there were parts where it was so long. This has some amazing world building, and so far I'm reading Malice, same author, and it's kind of the same thing. I think he just has really good world building skills, so like this is like perfect world building. And description, because I'm trying to be better about that. When the gods fought, it was a battle so savage they destroyed themselves, leaving nothing but their bones and the broken land of Vigrid in their wake. Now, as whispers of war echo over the fjords and across the plains, fate follows in the footsteps of three warriors, a huntress on a perilous quest, a noblewoman pursuing battle fame, and a thrall seeking retribution amongst the mercenaries known as the Bloodsworn. All three will change the course of the world as it once more follows under the shadow of the gods. So I love this story, but again, it's so long. Like, you really need to go into this prepared for a long story and a long haul of a trilogy. So this was just really good in that sense, and it's going to be in a later prompt, so I'm just setting it aside there. And then the next prompt is Ben Kenobi / Obi-Wan Kenobi, a book you went into with low expectations and that blew you away by the end. Another Natasha Lester book. This was the first fiction book that I had read. I went through a phase where I was only reading history, non-fiction books, and then mythology, and this was the first non-fiction book that I had read in a while, and And that's kind of why I went into it with low expectations. I wasn't expecting the worst with it. I just was going into it with low expectations because I hadn't picked up a fiction book in a while, and now I'm just like 90% fiction and maybe like 10% nonfiction. But the book is The Paris Orphan by Natasha Lester. Absolutely fell in love with this book. It's what made me fall in love with her stories and just everything about how she writes. Now, this book, New York City / Paris, 1942, when American model Jessica May arrives in Europe to cover the war as a photojournalist for Vogue. Most of the soldiers are determined to make her life as difficult as possible, but 3 friendships change that. Journalist Martha Gellhorn encourages Jess to bend the rules. Captain Dan Hallworth keeps her safe in dangerous places so she can capture stories that truly matter. And most important of all, the love of a little orphan named Victorine gives Jess the strength to do the impossible. But her success will come at a price. Like, some of these scenes, like, genuinely broke me. I will say there are trigger warnings, SA, abandonment, harassment. Some of these scenes, like, genuinely broke me. Like, I was crying, like, I was tearing up with this book. So, anyway, France, 2005, 6 years after World War II, Darcy Hallworth arrives at a beautiful chateau to curate a collection of famous wartime photos by a reclusive artist. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, but Darcy has no idea that this job will uncover decades of secrets that will change everything she thought she knew about her mother, Victorine, and alter Darcy's life forever. Like, again, this, like, I love this book. I'm tearing up a little bit. Like, I would love to read this again, but I honestly think that it would break me again, so, like, I'm hesitating. And, like, I love Deckle Nudges. I love them so much. Honestly, like, this book, I love it so much. And the story, like, again, it's what got me into Natasha Lester, so very precious book. The next prompt is Yoda, a book that taught you something or made you grow. And then oh yeah, I was like, why did I put that one for that prompt? Anyway, so Obi-Wan, Yoda, a book that taught you something or made you grow. For me, it's The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and this one might be like a little bit silly, you might think, where it's like, oh, like, can't teach me much, and I think it's just like part of it is that, like, friendships are so important for so many people, and having people you can truly trust despite whatever mistakes you make, like, that is so important to have. And honestly, this is just, it's a nice little cozy fantasy type story, but it also grapples some deeper issues, I think, and it's just such a perfect book for any time of the year. So it's just like, this was such a good book. And then the last prompt, spoilers if you've not read this. I already mentioned it. The last prompt is Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. Anyway, worst character death. Again, spoilers. And again, this is book 1, so it's like, no, in my opinion, I've talked about this before. Like, in my opinion, it's not super spoilery because it's book 1. But yeah, it was Orca's husband. I loved him. He was such a, of course it's like the characters you love that are gonna die, but it's like his death was like so brutal, and like it's understanding of like the book, what the book is centered around, but it's like it was so brutal, and it's just like he was such a good guy, and it's like why did he have to die? So I was very upset by his death, very shocked, because I was not seeing it coming, even though I should have. But it was like, I was very shocked by Orca's husband's death. What's his name? Thorkel. Like, I love Thorkel so much. Like, he's such a good guy. We need more men like him. But of course we don't have men like him. Or there are some, just not enough. But his death really hurt and really hit, and that was unexpected, even though, again, I should have expected it. Okay. One moment. Okay, I was just fixing something in the prompts. So that is the end of this book tag. I'm tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do it. You can leave a comment down below, do your own video. I'd love to see your answers for this. And I've linked my video inspo for this down below, as well as my pop culture book tag playlist down below in the description. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.